Hey, welcome back to Jamieson's Repair Shop. Back on the 79 F100. I brought in the shop, got it dried out overnight. What's going on is that the heater fan motor, the blower motor, started squealing and very loud. And I'm worried that it's going to die on me during the winter. Now, I did buy a motor for this in the fall, but it never got around to changing it. And we've had some fairly mild weather right now. It's only like -6. However, the Polar Vortex is on its way and it's supposed to drop down to close to -30, -28 or something like that, I think, and possibly even colder than that. So I have to get this blower motor changed because I'm driving this thing to work. The wife needs our Cadillac for visiting her mom and stuff like that, so I need to keep this going. So let's get at her. I don't think it's a big job. I did a little research online, watched some YouTube videos. Anyway, and I don't think it's a big job. Some bolts, a few screws, stuff like that. So let's get into it, see what happens. All right, up under the hood here, what needs to get done? Have to unhook the power lead wire right there. Also unhook the ground. And there's a nut there rather, and a nut right down in there. Those are studs coming in from the heater box. Have to get rid of these, which look to be original hose clamps. And also, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a stud right down there with a nut on it. And there's only 3 holding this on. I didn't see these before. I never noticed. They do look like original hose clamps. Anyway, and I did buy some new heater hose for this, so we'll get that done. Get those changed out as well. So that's under the hood. Let's go in the cab and see what needs to be done. All right, up under the dash here, or inside the truck. To my understanding, I have to pull out the glove box. It's just a cardboard insert. Has to come out to get access to the top of this heater box. And then underneath here, obviously this cable will have to go. This is for the heat control. The one for the blend door, which is over here, the cable's missing off it. I don't know if you can see that or not. And I do have a new cable for it, so I want to put that on. And also the resistor has to be unplugged right there. And this box, I believe, you might be able to get it off without taking this box off, but I see it's got a foam gasket there. So I'm going to take the screws out of this box cover here, this vent box, and get that out of the way so I have a little more room to work. So that's what I'll be doing. So first I'll start stripping this stuff out in here, because when I get the heater core unhooked, and those 3 nuts off the outside, I just want to be able to pull it down so I can get at that fan motor. All right, first thing I'm doing, I'm pulling out the screws for that glove box liner. So they're just Phillips. I'll set them somewhere where I'm sure to lose them, over here on the seat. They'll be gone when I go get them. And just a Phillips screwdriver, a short one if you have a stubby. I can't find my stubby stuff, so stubby screwdrivers, so I'm using this setup here. Works just fine, like so. Hopefully that can get it out. But anyway, I'll continue on getting that out of there. There, I got the box out. I just left it in there. I didn't really want to, let's get this flipped over. It's just a cardboard insert for this box, so I just shoved it aside for now. I just got to remember that, put it back up in there when I take that heater box out. But I needed to get at the top, these screws in here. So you'll see on the top of that box I was talking about has some screws. There's 2 screws that I get from up here. And it gives me more access to that down in there. So I've already unhooked the resistor, fan resistor. Now I'm going after these screws, that box, and cable. All right, I got the screws out of this vent box here. This is the first time that I've known it's been off. I don't know what's in here, we'll see. she's dusty. She's not the cleanest inside. Got some cleaning to do. I'll take that and set it aside. What's that? It's a big twig in there. And there's the fan. I should have got a new cage because there's a couple blades missing up and I don't have an extra one. So, but it'll have to do. Pretty loose, that motor. All right, so that's everything in here that I know of that has to come off. And yeah, I wish now I had bought the cage too, because there's a couple of chips out of the blades. Must have caught something. Anyway, it is what it is. So I'll get this out of the way and I'll go outside and we'll start taking those nuts off to hold it in and the hoses. All right, the ground strap is 5/16. Like that, and I believe these are 7/16. So let me get one and we'll start those. All right, and I got the hoses clamped. I couldn't find my, I had clamps for these, for clamping hoses off. I couldn't find them, but hey, maybe these will work. If I lose a little bit of fluid, I lose a little bit of fluid. I'm going to be losing some anyway because I'm changing these hoses out. So anyway, back to the clamp. The clamps are 3/8 head on them. All right, I get that the right way. And we'll get them cranked down and get them out of the way. They're coming off very easy, actually. All right, let me get at those. All right, I got the clamps backed off. And I'm just going to cut these hoses if I can get on them, because like I said, I'm planning on, oh, there's not much holding them together. Anyway, there'll be some leakage. There it is. And I'll cut the other one off because, hey, yeah, we're getting some drainage here. Just going in on them is cutting them. There we go. Get that on there. Come on, I should have just used a knife. It would have been a lot easier. Now my hand's slippery. All right, I'm going to change hands. And I don't know why you guys need to know this, but there she is. There we are. Cut them out of there. A little bit of leakage under the floor. We'll get that mopped up later. Well, looks like the clamps held really well. And I'll put these up higher, out of the way. Good. All right, now I'll get those clamps off, those old pieces of hose, and then we'll get those nuts out. That should bring the heater box down. All right, there it is. She's all unhooked. Got the 3 nuts off, hoses off, wires disconnected. Let's go inside and see if we can pull this baby off the firewall. All right, back inside. Let's see if we can yank this down. There she comes. Grab it here somehow. Reaching top here. Give it a pull. Oh, that cardboard box is there. All right. I didn't want to take that glove box out because it's pretty fragile. There she comes, coming off the studs. Pull the shifter down a bit. What else is up in there? What is this? Alright. I'm going to have to see what's going on. I think that cardboard box is jamming it up. There, she's out. Had trouble. It was catching on the insulation in the firewall. I'll glue that back up. I'll put some Super 77 on it and stick it back in place. But she was catching on the studs here. So let's take this over to the workbench. I'll clear it off a little bit and then we'll see what we can do with it. There, out on the bench. It's actually pretty clean inside the heater box. It's not bad. Once I pull the fan out, I'll see what's on the other side of the heater core. And we'll know that. The heater core looks pretty clean inside. A little bit of corrosion there. But overall, not too bad that I can see. This side looks a little bit corroded or build up on it. All right, let's get the fan out because that's what we're here for. All right, 5/16 again for the 2 screws that are holding it in. I think 2 screws, 2 sheet metal type screws, but also these are, I think, 7/16, 2 big studs there. And it looks to be indexed a little bit here on these pins. And there are like little indexing dents in it, but I marked it anyway. Good habit to get into when you're taking this old stuff apart. You never know if they have an index on them or not. So just index them with some marks and saves a little bit of confusion later. This is pretty close and easy to understand. But that's it. So there's the gasket. There's a gasket on this that needs to go back on too. Because this motor, I just bought the motor. I didn't buy the whole assembly, which was a mistake. I think I should have just bought the whole, I should have brought the whole assembly because the bird cage is a little bit chipped up. But anyway, it is what it is. Let's get this apart. There she is out. Not a lot of sealer on that. Yeah, and those were 7/16. They're just studs. A little bit of a leaf in it, but not too bad. Pretty clean. No gasket, just some sealer. I was going to get my wife to cut me a new gasket with the laser, but she's busy doing other things, and I'll just use some butyl sealer on that. A little bit of it. It doesn't need to be much because it's a pretty thin. Butyl's thick and it'll push it away, so just use a little skin of it. So now I got to pull the cage off here. So I got to get rid of this clamp, and hopefully this pulls right off. And then I have to find the motor I bought and switch the motor onto the plate. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, so this is sticking a tiny bit. I did get it up a little, but what I did, I put a nut back on one of the studs and turned the motor upside down. And I'm getting right underneath with a pry bar and just gently going up with it. Now I can't do it and video at the same time, so. And then my tripod, I don't know where I put it, it's tucked away. But anyway, it's coming off, but I'm just taking my time. These are quite, I suspect, fairly fragile. It's from 1978 or 79. Probably built in 78, or maybe before. So I'm just going to take my time to get that off. And then I'll continue to change the motor out. There it is, it's off. Yeah, if I was doing this again, I would do it differently. I would buy the whole assembly for all the difference in the price. It's not broken or anything other than those 2 fins are chipped over there. But I'll clean it all up so it doesn't vibrate, or it's just going to vibrate a little bit always because there's a couple of fins missing. But that's that. That's what I did. Not always the best choice. Now I have the new motor here that I'm putting in. It's a 4 Seasons 35502. It's supposed to be the right one for this truck. Let's have a peek inside. I guess we'll know when we start switching it out. But looks pretty good. All right, I'll get the old one out and start putting the new one in. So right now we have 2 bolts here. I think they're 3/8. Let me have a look. Get a 3/8 wrench somewhere here. 10 millimeters probably going to do it. Nope, 3/8. Some of this stuff is, there it is, where's my 3/8? There we go. So yeah, 3/8. And remember, I have to salvage this spacer here because it's not on the new one. So I have to take this off. And I guess that's kind of, the cage can only go down so far anyway because it's got a step in it. But I'm going to put this on. As you can see how loose this motor is, it's worn out. And when it's running high speed, it's really noisy. But yeah, that's it. So let me get that off. All right, there they are. They look to be the same. This one was, where is it? D7TF. So this was a 1977 fan motor. Made in 77, put in 1979. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to save this old one because it probably just needs new bushings. It was running fine, it just needed new, I think just new bushings. So I'm going to pull these, this this off. I have new ones of those. I'll see if I can find one, because these usually don't come off that easy. Alright, there it is, all back on. Cage is on, cleaned up, pretty good. Good enough for this job. And before I put that clip back on, I set it in the housing, and I pulled it out so it wasn't hitting the edge, so it just had enough clearance so it fills that whole hole up. So this is where, so it doesn't suck air around there, so it sucks only from the outside. I just had to pull it out a tiny bit. The shaft is a little longer on the new one, but she's not hitting anything there now. And if it does, I can, before I put it back in, if it starts to hit, I can loosen it off and move it a bit. Anyway, that's it. Now I'm going to clean the inside of the heater box out. It's not a lot in there, but I'm going to give it a good cleaning since it's off, and why not? So I started to look in this box here. You guys may have even seen it, I don't know. And there may be more in here. But come up with a couple of 22 longs. Where's the other one? It's here somewhere. I think it's a long. There you go. Free 22 bullets. Sweet. Alright, I'll just keep cleaning. Maybe I'll find a whole case. I doubt it. That's probably the only two in there. Alright, now, I found a set of house keys, it looks like. They're Wiser key. It's on this membership one. A union on the move. The bus on it. I can't even read it. You guys probably can see it better than I can right now. Anyway, and a dime. And I can't tell what year it is, so I can't read it. Had better eyesight, I could do it. You never know what you'll find. You start digging around and stuff. Not only just in cars. You start to learn sometimes who people really are once you start digging around in their hidden places. Anyway, that's what I found so far. I'll keep cleaning. There now. Whew, I'm sweating in here. The heater's on again and I'm just roasting. Anyway, I put a little licamatazi on this rig. And what I use is, I'm using this Blackjack brand. It's butyl caulk and it's gray, but it's a dark. It reminds me a lot of the seam sealer that's on the Thunderbird, the old 65 Thunderbird. It goes on really nice and it adheres once it's on there, but it doesn't harden. So I may be searching into that when I do the seam sealing on the Thunderbird. I have the Dominion Shore Seal stuff, which I like quite well too, but this stuff is only $6 a tube, which is pretty cheap, and especially for doing like when you do tighter areas where you can't get in, you want to squeeze some down in tight, so you could smaller cut on it and then push it down into the cracks. But anyway, that's that. Remember, the wires went up in this one. So this is the upward part of, there's the heater core right there. And the wires were up, so on the outside the wires are up. So that's where I put it, so now I'll tighten her down. Let it stiffen up a bit. I'm going to take a little break and I'll be right back. There it is, all in, tightened down. And now I got to switch the plug over. It's easier to do it out here. I'll just put a terminal on the end, a ring terminal on the end of this. And this one I'll chop off and I'll put that plug back on. Solder it on so it's nice off the old motor. That'll look good. It's easier to do it out on the bench rather than in the vehicle bent over. But yeah, I do like that butyl. That works pretty nice. All right, let's get that done. Get this wiring done. All right, I got the connectors put back on. That's good. I put some phosphoric acid inside there to flush it out, take any scale away. I'm going to flush that, blow it out, and then I'll put it back in the truck. I'll put this whole thing back in the truck. See how it goes. Oh, first I got to get the Super 77 and glue up that insulation matting on the firewall. So I better do that before I start anything else. There it is. I wrestled it back in. I don't want you to think it just fell back in place by itself, because it didn't. The firewall, I'll go around and show you. I don't know if you can see it or not. I glued that insulation back up in there, but that single bolt behind the engine head gave me a lot of trouble because it kept catching on the firewall installation. So like I said, it just didn't fall back in by itself, but it's in. I'll get her tightened up. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. I'm using some of this blackjack. Where's the other screw or nut? There it is. On the nuts that hold the housing into the firewall, like one there, and one over there. I'm putting some of this blackjack on them for a sealer. So let me get all that done and see how she looks. Well, there she is. She's all back up and running. New hose is put on, and I still have that clamp to put on there, because sure as it is, every time you work on one of these old Fords, they'll airlock on the heater and you lose the heat. You don't get heat in the cab. So you got to loosen this hose here and bleed the air out. And when that gets hot, that hose gets hot, then it's done. It's running good there now. And I'll get the clamp back on. When you do that, make sure you don't have any pressure on the system. It's just loose. It's not pressurized. All it is just flow. And I'll go inside. The cab's running pretty, or the fan's running nice. Nice and hot in here right now. Fan's whistling along nicely. Here it is. Down on low, mid speed. And then we're on low speed and off. Just like a new one. Well, that's it. I got the old Ford blower motor going again. Oh, wasn't a big job. A little fiddling around, getting the engine bled again. Almost always you have to do that. If you, like I said, if you lose the heat after you've had working on it, and you lose the heat at the cab, inside the cab, then you need to bleed the system. And I find just to bleed it at that hose, but hey, there's probably other ways of doing it. If I had thought about it, I would have filled the lines with antifreeze before I put it on. Never even thought of it at the time until I lost the heat, and then you think, well, what do I do now? And that's what I did. All right, that's it. Actually, in the next video, will probably, I kept talking about the old Thunderbird over there, but the next video is probably going to be door seals on this truck, because a package came the other day, and I believe it's his door seals and that sort of thing in there, window gaskets and door seals. So all right, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.